Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. We are getting really close to the top 10 in my top 100 NBA players list, and really in today's episode, I'm going to be breaking down the guys that are sitting just outside of it. So really just that 15 through to 11 range. This tier is always one of the most interesting just because it's actually just filled with guys who have entered certified superstardom or just veterans who are still proving that they do belong among the very best in the league. And these are the names that can decide playoff series, guys that can swing a franchise's direction, and just players that spark debates about who does truly deserve to crack into that top 10. And so let's just get straight into it with number 15 of today's list, Evan Mobley. Now, Evan is certainly an interesting case. I mean, much of the actual super high placing for Mobley for me just kind of revolves around just how dominant he was last season in that regular season as the predominant catalyst for that Cavs 64-win regular season team. And he just was their two-way anchor and the guy that allowed Cleveland to adopt any and every offensive and defensive concept with his versatile skill set and the mobile frame that he brings to the game. Last season, Mobley averaged 19 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2.5 stocks per game on an exceptional 60% effective field goal percentage for a primary power forward, and that came to 56, 37, 73 splits on the season. And it's just with this intriguing production, I think Mobley, just accolade-wise as well, I mean, he was awarded with DPOY, All-NBA second team, All-Defensive first team, and All-Star, and really what was an incredibly accomplished season by individual standards. And that related to his dominant on-court impact as well. And he boasted Cleveland's most impactful on-off swing by far at plus 4.4 on a regular season juggernaut like that. But with Mobley, the reason why I do value him as a player so highly is the incredible versatility that he brings at this point. And we'll start with the offensive side of the ball first. And really just for Evan, the jump shot talent has always been there, and now we're really seeing it in a very credible manner. Last year, 39% on catch and shoot threes on 3 attempts a game. That is real value coming from your big. And it just makes the screening value just that much more damaging. And then also the athleticism on foot to pop and roll with real speed. That gives his involved actions an extra step where being paired next to a super fast, hyper-reactive creator like either Garland or Mitchell, that just accentuates the talent itself. And in terms of the value of actual spacing, it isn't just the three-point looks, it's the closeout attacking confidence in his bag, using that agile frame and relatively decent momentum power to comfortably shield the handle and contribute to actual movement offense. Like that is what the offensive package with Mobley is. Obviously, the efficiency itself wasn't that much higher overall compared to previous years, but it was more the boost in volume with the visible confidence boost where Cleveland could rely on Mobley as an actual source of both play finishing, but also plus advantage extending. And that just gave him the ultimate boost in value as a basketball player, as a big. And when he was pitched at center as well, I mean, that's where you saw the massive bolster in true offensive spacing, whilst also him being able to give you the intriguing switchability and the aggressive defensive structure that could work in stretches with Mobley anchoring your 5 spot as that elite pick and roll defensive build. And that's really where the other bits of Mobley's package comes along. Obviously, the passing and ball handling, those were just added perks that we got to see this season. But obviously, we know the broad package that you are getting defensively, and that is why, ultimately, I do have him in the top 15 rank in the NBA. Obviously, Mobley, a dominant, diversified defender, someone who can flourish in any coverage, and that really is just the commodity of today's NBA bigs, and Mobley does it probably better than anyone else. I mean, Mobley can thrive as your true drop coverage big, just really nice lateral bounce and anticipation, someone who can come up to the level with good swarming hands and shuffling feet, someone who can switch comfortably against most assignments across the league, but also just the help side roaming impact as well. That is the gold class with him, especially when he was pitched next to Jared Allen, who was playing the 5. Just Mobley's abilities as a free safety in that 6'11", 215-pound frame, that is just absolutely overpowered. And when you're also adding in with the cognitive and the spatial awareness that he already brings as a top-tier positioning-oriented big man, with all the physical and athletic dimensions, I mean, that just enables him to absolutely wreak havoc in space. And obviously, on my criteria, the overall load he can carry for a team doesn't really rival the guys that I do have above him. But in terms of the load, I mean, it doesn't just refer to a guy averaging 25, 7, and 7. I mean, it also refers to the overall roles that you can cover and the volume of production that you can pour into those roles. And for Mobley, I mean, defensively, he is just a certified top 5 guy in basketball. And the spacing alleviation as well with his build, the athleticism, the skill set, that's all just an absolutely massive draw for me. And what does contribute to the high-flowing offense in today's NBA. And for me, he was clearly Cleveland's most impactful regular season performer. And that ultimately is my case for Evan as a top 15 player in the NBA. And unless he already is a superstar, I mean, this is kind of where I draw the line on giving guys that title as a superstar in the league. And so Evan sits here at number 15 after an absolutely incredible developmental season over the past year. Now, moving on to number 14, next up, I have a much more talented basketball player. Someone who offers way more in that load-carrying criteria for me. And someone who is pretty similar to Evan's archetype, and that is obviously Victor Wembanyama. Someone who many probably have comfortably in that top 10 zone. But for me, this is off the basis of last season. And that's really just how I do these rankings. I mean, you have to earn it. And for me, hypotheticals aren't really a factor for these player standings lists. And now with Victor, I mean, we know the story with him. Unreal physical advantages. And these are also paired with just unforeseen athletic and mobility traits for his size. And that is really just what makes him the most gifted basketball player of all time. And what accentuates those, gifts, in terms of like the value side of things, he's playing in an era that no doubt suits his actual skill set and the movement package that he does bring. Last year, 24 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks on 56% effective field goal percentage. And that rounded to a respectable 48-35-84 split margin in 46 games before dealing with the blood clot in his shoulder, which did disrupt and end the rest of his season in February. But last year, besides only just playing 46 games, Wemby proved once again just how dominant his talent is in terms of the impact markers. Obviously, like Mobley, Wemby was more than just transformative for his team. Obviously, he was being positioned in a significantly worse roster, and that does, bolster his actual impact marks on the floor. But Wemby's markers were more than just outrageous. Last year, Wemby was a plus 10.2 differential per 100 possessions via cleaning the glass. And he was also a plus 9 to their defense. And really just, it was this all-time elite and probably GOAT-level defensive playmaking ability that he has. Something that's really only ever been rivaled by stock kings like Hakeem and David Robinson in the modern NBA. And obviously, the stupidly gifted build does help. He's 7'4", he has an 8-foot-long wingspan, and that is really being paired with the really talented agility, the vertical speed and pop, the polished coordination relative to his size. But he is really strong as far as like reading the play from the backline and from the help side. And like the staunching physical metrics just allow him to make plays that just don't seem possible just with the extra inches on his frame and those contests that do make him the best rim deterrer in the game. And that really is just the threat that he does pose at the rim. And that difference is important, I want to emphasize. I don't think he's the best and most polished rim protector and rim contester, but he's the most dominant rim deterrer in terms of throwing the most fear into opposing defenses, which is arguably more valuable depending on what you decide to value defensively. Obviously, the switchability isn't really insane, but again, the extra size on his contesting radius just gives him more cushion to have unstable and less technical footwork, less lateral polish and angle coverage at this point in time. And if you're really finding any exposable weak point, it would probably be the ability for speedy guards to isolate him on the perimeter and get by that frame, which doesn't really pose much resistant lateral strength at this point in time. And for teams, that really was the most successful avenue for advantage creation whilst Wemby was on the floor. But I do want to emphasize he is relatively strong on the perimeter switching compared to most anchors across the league. Obviously, offensively, the play finishing is the unfair aspect of him. He's a guy that can finish everything and anything around the cup, especially when the post entry is made accurately. Just that catch radius, the vertical pop, the soft touch, they just allow him to overcome the lack of strength in his frame as well. And he has the most overpowered, over-the-top advantage of all time, especially when considering the extra vertical pop that he does get compared to most historical bigs of his size. And this was evident in a 75% field goal percentage in the restricted area and also 50% mark in the paint non-restricted area, which For a 21-year-old skill-based anchor, that is extremely impressive. And the shooting as well, it's not an immensely powerful weapon for team offense just yet, but it definitely will be in due time. But when evaluating the shooting perks now, like Mobley, it's just the boost in value and floor space that he gives you with also the screening and the movement value. Last year, Wemby was 38% on catch and shoot threes, and really just the percentage is deterred by the shot selection on those tough contested pull-up threes. Wemby's a guy that likes to take take looks even when off balance, and that really is where the drawbacks start with Wemby. It's just really just the shot selection. Obviously, I understand it is a process for him to fully eventuate the skill set, but at the moment, it is just a detriment to his overall value on the floor, especially when he does take this really high-risk, high-reward. He does take these really high-risk, high-reward looks because the shot polish just isn't at a high level just yet from the perimeter. Last year, Wemby shot just 31% on over 3 pull-up threes a game and just 34% on pull-up jumpers in general. And really just Victor, at this point, when he is taking 9 threes a game, that is just a pretty absurd mark considering the value of his jumper at this point, and it really isn't comparable to the guys that he does stand in close company with in terms of the overall 3-point volume. And when evaluating Victor now, it's important to decipher and separate future talent from current impact. I believe Victor right now is a transformative two-way anchor, but the polish on the offensive selection and the overall polish does need work. And I just don't think he asserts himself on the creation side out of the post nearly enough from what would be optimal considering his absurd advantages. And that does reduce the impact on the floor as he only took 27% of his shots at the rim last year. And that only ranked in the 12th percentile among bigs last season. And really just that lack of true offensive maturity has kept back the offensive impact from reaching really even just high level status just yet. And he was just a +1 rating to their offense per 100 possessions last year. And that was really because when he was pitched into that on-ball role, which he has mostly been noted in, he just can't initiate or create free-flowing, healthy offense like other guys in the league just yet. And so once he does trim, or at least tighten up the looks and selection, then we can view Wemby as one of the most impactful and winningest basketball talents the league has ever seen. And so that's my case for Wemby being a superstar, but more on the low end of that spectrum for now. And this season, I do expect him to jump into that top 8 zone, but from last season and from what we've seen so far in the NBA, he ranks here at number 14. Now, number 13. I have one of the most injury-prone superstars in the NBA, and that should probably already tell you who it is. I've got Kawhi Leonard here. And last year, Kawhi was someone I had in that top 10 zone, but just with another incremental sign of poor conditioning, just unable to also contribute to even half a regular season, plus also just the drop in overall production. I do see him with a significant drop, but still someone I still have so much faith in as a playoff-built methodical machine. Kawhi last year, 37 regular season games, averaging 22, 6, and 3, with just over 2 stocks a game on a still very efficient 56% effective field goal percentage on 50, 41, 81 splits. And with Kawhi, my case for him still holding the superstar title ultimately stems from just how destructive he is when he hits that aggressive stretch in a season. Obviously, we saw him quite passive in stretches last year, and that is why the production didn't fit what we're used to. But quite literally, there aren't many guys that can reach the actual ceiling of Kawhi Leonard in today's NBA, and I do weight that so highly. It wasn't even just the great playoff series for him against Denver, but he just gives you an efficient outlook onto pull-up heavy scoring that his talent is just so hard to pass up on when we do have these discussions. Obviously, we talk about how great Nikola Jokic is out of the post, not just because of the actual shot touch, but the ability to demand and assert primed positioning. And in terms of like the pull-up version of that, I mean, that is Kawhi Leonard. We were talking about the strength, the shot hunting, the methodical pace control. That gives Kawhi such an edge, working to actually hunt and attain those really rhythm-building shots with his dead-eye range. And for Kawhi, he doesn't really rely on just the all-time touch that he has, but he also just pairs it still with the strength, the power, the elevation advantages to maximize his floor as a shot hunter. And we've seen that even with this version of Kawhi. And in just the 7-game series versus Denver, I mean, he averaged 25, 8, and 5 on an incredible 60% effective field goal percentage. And in that series, he made 85% of his looks at the rim. He made 50% of his shots in the paint, non-restricted area, 46% in the mid-range, whilst also giving you 67% on catch-and-shoot threes. Just absolutely dead-eye efficiency that he has proved to be matchup resilient with, and the ability to also scale that still in any environment against any team. And that is why I still value Kawhi Leonard as a superstar for maybe one more season. He's also still a strong defender. Extremely powerful quads to absorb contact, and he has that elite hip flexibility that we've seen his entire career, where he still can turn and match direction and pace variance with the best of them, especially when he is keyed in. Obviously, the passing as well, nothing elite, but he can still jumpstart offense to at least a credible level. But obviously with Kawhi, it's the power punch of on and off ball scoring that he gives you that does intrigue the playoff ceiling the most. Obviously, the conditioning and durability, that is the biggest knock. But a healthy Kawhi, for me, ranks at worst in that 8 to 10 range amongst the league. And when we're talking about versatility, when your on-ball superstar can give you 94th percentile spot-up value on over 4 playoff possessions a game, that just satisfies the box enough for me. And he's just proven the scaling element too many times. And I have to give him the respect here for what he can still be as of last season. We'll probably see him drop quite significantly, even more through next season. But he's still so great right now and good enough for my 13th spot as still a true superstar in the NBA today. Now at number 12, I have the best player for the second best regular season team of last season, and that is Donovan Mitchell. Now, I did emphasize before that Evan Mobley was Cleveland's best regular season player, and I do still believe that, but that doesn't mean he's their most powerful performer and overall floor raiser, because that is the guy who did get the All-NBA First Team honors. That is the guy that was also selected All-Star and 5th in MVP voting. That I don't really agree with the first team placing in the voting results, but nevertheless, they still add value to his case and how great of a season he had last year. Last year, though, 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on 53% effective field goal percentage, on career low turnovers and career low minutes due to the less taxing role that he was pitched in for Cleveland last year. And with Garland as well taking primary half-court offensive responsibilities last year as the best regular season offensive engine for Cleveland, Mitchell wasn't really Cleveland's most impactful offensive guy either through the regular season, but he proved why he is undoubtedly Cleveland's best and most matchup resilient player in the playoff run that we did see. And in that playoff run, he put up a monstrous 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists with 2 steals on 52% effective field goal percentage. And in that postseason run, that included back-to-back 48 and 43-point bombs in the semifinals versus Indiana. And that really just kickstarts the overall talent and the argument for Spider in this. Obviously, the load carrying he can instill for Cleveland and really for any team, that's just maximized by the diversified shot palette and the extremely efficient shot hunting tendencies for a small guard. Amongst the league, he legitimately is one of the best rim pressures in the NBA today. Elite motor, elite angle selection, paired with insanely powerful momentum generation backed by the bulky upper body strength, the speed burst, the explosive verticality. And with Mitchell, his actual footwork and the body contortion are just so perfected as a rim finishing driver. He can get to any angle and any direction that he wants at any moment. And he has enough nimbleness as well behind that frame to attack slicing lanes too. But it's also just the power to assert his presence against any rim protector through contact. And this matchup resilience is really just why and what is so valuable in the modern day. Obviously, with exceptional scoring power, offers the versatility against the multitude of matchups. And though the off-ball gravity and the value in the defensive stuff isn't anything superb, and that is where he simply doesn't provide the same impact as some of the superstars above him. Besides that, though, he is just so good at the half-court scoring piece of things and the general advantage creating stuff. And defensively as well, Donovan Mitchell is someone that you can easily build a cohesive defense around. He's a strong athlete. He's got an intense motor. He's got general burst that does allow him to float successfully in isolation coverage possessions. But obviously, defense isn't anything superb, and that is a drawback with him. He also does lack true top-tier passing weaponization and just the boasting external impact that does deprive him of a high rank at this current stage. But for people who emphasize durability much more, Spider fits that top 10 mold extremely easily for me. And me balancing both factors, that does have me cemented in this superstar range, and he does land here at number 12 for me. Now, last guy on today's list, I have number 11, just missing out on that top 10 zone, and that is Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, for me, I mean, he missed by the absolute smallest hair, and he lands here, and for me, he does project to easily take a top 10 seat by next season, and that will come just with a touch-up on the maturity, the offensive initiation, and the consistency-based approach, because I do think a lot of people would expect Anthony Edwards. So I've seen some people even have him in that top 5 zone, and to be honest with you, the argument is completely there. I just don't value the offensive maturity to the level of where it needs to be just yet. Last year for Anthony Edwards, an absolute elite scorer of the basketball. 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists on 55% effective field goal percentage on very respectable 45, 40, 84 splits. As he led the league in threes attempted and made as well. He came 7th in MVP voting. He was selected for the All-NBA second team, and he also made a conference finals appearance. And that really is what defined an extremely productive season for someone who was a 23-year-old. Obviously, Edwards just brings what we spoke about with both Kawhi and Donovan Mitchell, and that is the elite matchup resilient shot creation piece. And is extremely effective at generating comfortable and rhythm-building looks when he asserts his athletic and physical traits as a basketball player. Obviously, the overall athlete package is elite. We're talking about explosive power with the fast acceleration. We're talking about powerful 225-pound frame that he brings. We're talking about really developed and fine-tuned agility talent with the extremely gifted ability to really exaggerate any sense of direction as well. And that really, just that ability to pit stop, pivot, and explode off both calves as well in just such a rapid manner. It's literally unguardable in the intermediate zone of the floor. And considering his rim finishing as well and the pull-up shooting status in the NBA, just guarding Anthony Edwards, it's so hard to deny any direction for him. Ant has worked incredibly hard as well to fully carve out this elite arsenal of shot creation by making himself an extremely strong threat from the perimeter. And in terms of the improvement scale over the past year, I mean, it was extremely unprecedented to see Ant go leap nearly 4 efficiency points on nearly 4 more attempts per game from 3 last year. And just that type of improvement for a superstar with the volume increase is just absolutely insane. And that's what gave him the legs to perform as the most conditioned regular season superstar in the NBA. And that also just adds to the entire value package that he is giving to Minnesota. Obviously though, besides the unguardable shot hunting feel and the entire repertoire that he brings, Ant actually has matured as well and does continue to keep incrementally improving the passing weaponization, which especially took off more so towards the second half of last season, just setting up and trusting his teammates who were able to find their individual rhythm extremely fast with the quality of spot-up and closeout attacking opportunities that Ant does create for them. And that is when he successfully does make those initiating reads especially. Obviously, shot selection is a major bump down for Ant, especially being a young player in today's NBA. But by closing the gap and actually leveling to a pretty high level efficiency mark as a pull-up shooter and perimeter scoring force, and at least for the regular season, did justify 45% of his looks coming beyond the arc. Obviously though, this is where it really backfired for him, and that was really just in the postseason where he was totally out of rhythm as an intermediate shot maker. And it's this variance that gives you the full matchup resilient impact as a lead offensive creator, but also when it does come to the over-reliance on getting those threes, Ant's actual shot making did fall dramatically on those off-the-dribble looks. And in the postseason, I mean, he made just 29% on over 6 pull-up threes per game. And obviously in the playoffs, Ant excelled at bumping up the actual rim attempts, but overall the diversified shot palette and the overall offensive efficiency just wasn't as dominant in the possession-based approach to playoff basketball. Defensively, and on the margins as well, is where he gets a bit more credibility in these rankings. Despite not having an extremely keyed-in motor, Ant is an incredibly gifted isolation defender, just with the tools to match up comfortably with more positions and archetypes. But it's just also the off-ball talent that also can be tapped into a little bit more, considering just how gifted he has with the reaction speed, the off-ball concentration, can be closing and shooting gaps with the explosive jet speed and space covering. And this is just the overall defensive ceiling that does give him more leeway in these conversations, despite not being an elite offensive engine just yet. And with Ant, like what I said with Wemby and also how it relates to Mobley too, I mean, I just think you have to differentiate between the talent and the current impact when we are making these player rankings based on current form. And though I think Ant could jump into even just the 5 spot, just with how rapid the progression curve has been, I mean, just at the end of last season, this is exactly where I'd place him on the list of superstars in the NBA. And that is still incredible considering he just turned 24 and he still is in that progression phase of his career. I still think Ant will fully blossom, and I have no doubt he will take at least a top 7 spot in the league just of next season with the regression of aging superstars, but also just another season of leadership maturity. And so that's really just my 15 through to 11 range of today's NBA. Evan Mobley, Victor Wembanyama, Kawhi Leonard, Donovan Mitchell, and then Anthony Edwards at 11. Really just a tier that shows the balance between what's next in the league and what's still proven at the highest level. Obviously, next up, we do break into the top 10, just the real MVP caliber, championship-defining players who do shape the NBA today. Make sure you're following the podcast so you don't miss any more content, and let me know what you guys think of these rankings over on Instagram at Casual NBA Fanatic. And let me know, I mean, did I put Ant too low? I mean, is Kawhi still a top 15 guy in the league? Did I get anything right on this list? Let me know, guys, on the Instagram. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.